What's up, spectators? Welcome back to the episode of Last Window. Previously, we went down to Lucky's Cafe with the invitation from Tony saying that he would buy us drinks. Of course, we're getting free drinks from Sydney here because he's a nice fellow. We played some, what do you call it? Billiard challenges with Tony and lost horribly. Then I played, goodness, what's her name? Claire. And I beat Claire, and I'm guessing I'll be playing Sydney for this as well. So, Mr. Hyde, you up for taking me on? If you win, I'll crack open a bottle of finest vintage bourbon I've been keeping. What do you say? Prepare to lose. Ah, the overconfidence of youth. I'll go first. Go right ahead. I hope you're ready. All right, so I did well against Claire. I just gotta do well against Sydney. Okay. I can handle that, probably, maybe. Alright, just like before. Alright, it's a tie. A draw. Don't do it, don't be two. Ah, it's two! Oh, there's no way. Come on! No! None? Well, okay. Yeah! No! Really? Oh. No, please. That's a victory for me. Yeah, you laugh it up, Sydney. Looks like you got plenty of practicing to do before you'll have a chance of beating me. That means you'll be sticking to the more reasonably priced drinks tonight. Yeah, no need to rub it in. Anyway, I better head back to the cafe. See you later, Mr. Hyde. Oh, well, that's a bummer. At least I won one, I guess. How do I get out of here? Huh? It's Will White. I think this is the first time I've ever seen him in here. Huh? Is he looking at me? As I briefly make eye contact with Will, he reaches out to the glass of the counter and drinks the contents down in one. After that, he steals another glance. Well, hello there, Mr. Hyde. Are you by yourself? Not this time. I'm with a friend. That's a shame. I thought perhaps I could join you for a drink. Oh, you did you? Yes. In fact, I've been waiting for the opportunity to have a drink with you for some time. Tell you what are you having? Maybe we can have just one drink together. Okay. You want a drink with me? I certainly do. I have a feeling we've got a lot in common, you and I. What makes you think that? Well, for one thing, I heard from Dylon that you're a salesman. Beginning to catch my drift? Just because we share things in common doesn't mean we'll get along, though. Something funny? Not really, it's just that reaction was precisely the sort of thing I expected. You got me all figured out, huh? I do believe I have, Mr. Hyde. You're stubborn and selfish, and like everything to go your way. You have a distinct inability to read the emotions of others and are outspoken. Well, look at this. Look at how well we're getting along. And you have no qualms about ordering other people around. But you're keen not to let others learn of this trait, as word travels fast. In short, you have a very tiresome personality. Tell me, Mr. White, do you normally run off at the mouth this much, or is it the drink speaking? Hope you don't talk to your customers this way. I'll let you guess, shall I? To be honest, I couldn't care less. Oh? You see, it doesn't matter to me which it is. I've already decided that I've got far better things to do with my time than talk to you. Especially seeing as this is Christmas Eve and I'm trying to enjoy myself. I'm sorry you feel like that, Mr. Hyde. I was hoping we could spend a while delving into some philosophical conversation. I'm willing to bet you'll come to regret refusing my offer to talk. Anyway, I must be on my way. What? You just invited me to drink and now you're like, I must be on my way. Who the hell does he think he is? Betty! I know it's technically still a day early, but Merry Christmas! Betty! Oh, hi, Tony. Looks like my luck's really in today. Didn't expect to see you here. I thought you said you had plans this evening. Yeah, I did. I had lots of them, but they kinda disappeared. Is that so? While you're here, though, about that present I promised you before. It's okay, Tony. Besides, I'm more interested in having a few drinks. How would you like to join me? It'll be my treat. Would I ever? But the drinks are free. Typical. First sign of some skirt and he's off like a flash. Sorry, Hyde, but you know how it is. Hey. Don't mess this one up. You got it. Did I miss something? Do you already have plans? Me? Plans? Not a thing, baby. Okay, that's good. You had me worried for a second there. Anyway, you know any good places? Sure do. Leave that to me. Okay. Just give me a moment, will you? Hey, Hyde, can I ask you something? What is it? Ba-da-ba-da. So, where are you taking her? I gave the impression I knew plenty of decent places, but the truth is, I can't think of one. You gotta help me out, man. You know anywhere decent? That's a tough one. How about taking her to the place we went to before? You know, Taco Bell? The atmosphere was pretty good and you can play her your song. True. Plus I got a tab running there too. Thanks, Hyde. I'm gonna take your advice and head there. This is your moment, Tony. Don't mess it up. You might not get another one. I hear you loud and clear. Okay, let's do this thing. Tony leaves the cafe together with Betty. Here's hoping. That Tony's got a nerve. I was gonna let him spend the evening here on the house. Guess that just leaves me and you to enjoy the evening. Guess so. Time for some drinks. Oh, Mr. Hyde. Claire? Your food's ready. But where's Tony got to? He got a better offer from Betty, I'm afraid. What? He left without even tasting my delicious food? Forget about him. He's not worth it. I'll give you this. That food sure does look good. So good, in fact, that I think I'll take care of Tony's portion too. Well, show me. Show me the food. You will? Better than wasting it. Thanks, Mr. Hyde. I hope you're ready to enjoy our special Christmas Eve banquet. I'll bring it over to your usual seat. That sure smells good, and I'm starving. Sorry for the wait. Here you go. Here's your bourbon and roast chicken. Ooh, a whole chicken, huh? This is the bourbon that you usually order, Mr. Hyde. And the roast chicken has been roasted to perfection with crispy skin and juicy stuffing. With stuffing? Mmm, sounds delicious. Well, I sure hope it is. Enjoy. Claire leaves the food and drink on my table and moves away. There's a glass of my usual drink and a huge plate of roast chicken on the table. That smell sure is fantastic. The whole chicken? Damn! Guy's hungry. Well, do I leave or do I talk to Sydney now? Sydney. Ah, Mr. Hyde. Still drinking, I see. Yep. Claire not around? No, she said she had plans to meet up with a friend and went out. Looks like it's just you and me now. So what do you say? Shall we have something to drink? Sounds like a plan. Sydney dims the cafe lights a little but leaves the counter well lit. He takes what appears to be some sort of special bottle from one of the shelves. It's a bottle of extra old brandy, the kind of stuff I've only drunk occasionally. It's got a smooth taste with a fruity aroma and real impact. Sure, it'll get you drunk all right, but at least you'll be a sophisticated drunk. Sydney and I raise a toast and drink our fill of the exquisite brandy. It really is fantastic. You really know a good drink when you have one, Mr. Hyde. You're just like my ex-wife in that respect. Is that so? When we used to run this place together, we used to have a quiet drink, just the two of us, after closing time. Why did the two of you separate? It wasn't her fault, it was mine. I was way too stubborn. I can see it so clearly now. But it's far too late to do anything about it now. Looks like I'm getting lost in my thoughts a little here. By the way, have you ever heard a song called Promise? Can't say I have. I think this might be the perfect night to play it. The perfect night. Can't think of any better time than when you're alone on Christmas Eve. If you've never heard it before, you'll really get the most out of it tonight. Sydney places a single record on the counter. I take Sydney's record. Quite an old one you got here. Yeah, it's old all right, but just brimming over with memories. There was only one copy of it at the shop I went to, and I was keen to buy it. Thing is, Claire's mom had gone there for the exact same reason. Let me guess, that's when you fell in love, right? Absolutely. It was love at first sight. What kind of woman was she? She was the best, at least the best for me. Do you still feel that way even though you're separated? Of course. What am I saying? You're pretty good at making me say the most embarrassing things, Mr. Hyde. Believe me, I'm not trying to. Another drink? I think I've reached my limit. Then it's probably time for me to shut this place up for the night. Thanks again, Sydney. I had a great time. Me too, Mr. Hyde. Me too. Wonder what kind of song the record I got from Sydney is. Okay. There's an old amp in the cabinet, and below that, my record collection. I mostly have jazz LPs and hard bop records from the 1950s. They're all pretty well known. That's not what I'm looking for. My record player is on top of the cabinet. Here we go. Maybe I should give Sydney's record a listen. I see. Wait. Interesting. I dragged it to pretty much the end of the record, but it's going. So this is the song that means so much to Sydney. Promise, huh? The kind of song that makes a person depressed if they listen to it alone. Perfect. Listens to it on repeat. Guess this is the final Christmas Eve I'll be spending in this apartment. Okay. I think it's time I gathered my thoughts about it. Oh, about all that's happened. The morning of December 24th. I walked into town, heard the festive songs, and returned home. Then my buzzer went. I opened the door and saw someone waiting there. It was Mila. Right. I opened the door only to see Mila standing there. She told me that Ed had been admitted to the hospital and Rachel was looking after him. After exchanging gifts with Mila, I suggested we go to the cafe. However, Mila said she'd rather take a look at something on the roof. What did Mila want to look at? She said she wanted to see the lighthouse on the roof. We headed up to the roof to do some sightseeing. It was the first time we chatted properly in ages. After she went home, I met Tony in the lobby and took a small package from him. The package was addressed to Mags. I took it to her in person. As soon as she saw it, she started shaking and asked me to open it instead. What was it that Mags thought the package might contain? A chicken! A roasted chicken with some bourbon. Right. She thought that the package might contain a bomb of some sort. She went on to tell me about why she thought a bomb might be inside. Apparently, she received a threat in the form of a letter in the past. I called Rachel once I got back to my room. Once I heard Ed's condition had improved, I relaxed. I took a look at the package that Mom had sent. What was it I found inside? There were several things: a card, a baseball, and a key. The card explained that the other two items were from Dad's case. Tony invited me to Lucky's Cafe to share a few drinks. As it turns out, Sydney had already promised to treat Tony that evening anyway. We all ended up playing a few games of billiards. Who offered me a drink after that? Will. It was none other than Will White who offered his company. I declined and instead shared some drinks and conversation with Sydney until late. As the evening moves on, I listen to the record I got from Sydney. I reflect on the things that have happened over the last few days. Right after getting the notification that this place will be closed, certain facts about the building's past came to light. The fact that my dad is somehow connected to the events that happened here. I wonder what I'll feel when all the mysteries of the past are solved. I wonder what I'll find out about my dad. Chapter 8. On Christmas. Thursday morning, December 25th. Waking up doesn't feel so bad this time. I can still feel some drink from last night sloshing around in my stomach. But as I drag myself out of bed and feel a draft of cool air, I soon feel better, like I can actually face the day. I open the blinds and stare out the window. The rain that was pouring down during the night must have stopped sometime this morning. The sunlight beyond the window is dazzling as it reflects off the leftover droplets of water. The still damp cityscape is strangely picturesque, like a scene from a film. I lean against the glass and take a moment to absorb what I'm seeing. Suddenly, the song that I heard last night, Promise, pops into my head for some reason. I pause. Why did it provoke such a nostalgic feeling in me when I heard it? Then the realization hits me. I must have heard it somewhere before. After putting on some clothes, I slump onto the sofa. I try to unclutter my memories and recover the one that includes that song. At last, a memory from 25 years ago emerges, and I recall the streets at night. That's it. The song I heard on the radio then. It was Promise. It was after Dad had been murdered and we'd moved to Manhattan. I awoke suddenly at night, only to hear the sound made by the falling rain. I left my bed and slipped behind the curtain. If I stood on the tips of my toes, I could just about see through the window. The glass was slightly foggy, so I had to use the sleeve of my pajamas to wipe it. My sleeve was wet through, but I could finally see outside. What I saw was the purple lit glow of the Manhattan night. I'd vowed that I wouldn't ever enjoy living there. I didn't know anyone. It was too cold. But for the first time, I found something I appreciated about the place. I wanted my mom to see that view. I cautiously opened the door to the neighboring room. To my surprise, my mom was still awake and standing beside the window. Realization came to me in an instant. Mom had been staring at the same view as I had. I remember telling her that I thought it looked beautiful. Mom came over, wrapped her arms around me, and just stood there beside me. There was a faint sound coming from the small radio Mom kept beside the bed. While holding me, my mom told me something. She said that my dad loved this song. As I looked up, my eyes met those of Mom. Then, for the first time since we arrived in that town, Mom looked different. Her eyes were brimming with tears. So that was how I knew that song. It was the song playing on the radio in our apartment. Ba-ba-bum. It's my phone. Hello? I see you're at home. Yeah, no change there. What's on your mind? Nothing really. I just thought you'd be out. Sorry to disappoint. Don't take everything as a joke, Kyle. I just felt like I should call you, that's all. I didn't really have anything to say, though. Mom? You're worrying me. Why call if you thought I was gonna be out? That's what I wanted to say to her, but decided to keep it to myself instead. I got your package, by the way. That baseball. It was the one Dad bought me all those years ago, wasn't it? So you remembered? Vaguely. I remember Dad and I used to play catch with it. That ball was very precious to your father. I think the reason was that you told him you wanted to be a baseball player. I remember saying something like that when I was a kid. Your father kept that ball so that each time he looked at it, he could see your smiling face telling him you wanted to be a pro one day. Kids say the craziest things. I don't remember that key though. Was that the key Dad used for the car? No, it wasn't. Then what is it? When the case came back from the police, it was inside. It was there together with the baseball. I haven't got a clue what it's for, but I have the feeling it represents something that he wanted you to have. Mom? There's something I've been meaning to ask for a while, and I think now's the time. What is it? What do you want to ask me? Why did you ever get with a guy like Dad? What? He was in a less than respectable career, so why'd you agree to marry him? Well, I fell in love, that's why. I fell in love with him and never wanted to be apart. Then, the first time I met him was at the hospital where I worked. I was the one in charge of tending to the wounds he came in with. So it was a classic case of patient and nurse falling in love. Yes, I suppose it was. When I met him, he was a total stranger. But I did know one thing. I knew that he was bearing a secret of some kind, and that, if it ever came out, I wouldn't be able to stay with him. That's why I was prepared to be content without knowing. When did you find out about his secret? About 2 years after you'd been born. He came clean about precisely what he did for a living. You mean he told you about the safe cracking? Yes. But once you knew, didn't you try and stop him? Maybe if you had, we wouldn't have had live off the money he earned by ripping people off. And he wouldn't have wound up dead 7 years later. It's not like that, Kyle. Then what is it like? After you were born, your father, he wanted to make a clean break and give up that line of work. But his associates weren't happy with his decision. And he So he just kept on cracking safes. How can you just forgive him? After hearing me shout down the phone, Mom drifts into a strange silence. Maybe it's because this was the first time we've ever discussed Dad so openly. I'm starting to regret bringing the subject up in the first place. Let's stop talking about this. Yeah, maybe you're right. Kyle, when you're ready to forgive your father and me, perhaps then we can continue this conversation. Merry Christmas, Kyle. My buzzer suddenly sounds. Who's there? But it has been just about 30 minutes, so I'm going to end this video here. And then next time we'll find out who's at the door. So stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye!